MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul have partnered together to launch Lunchly, a competitor to Kraft Heinz, because they own Lunchables. I think it's genius.
Home run.
So you get a prime energy drink.
We were told MrBeast's average age of audience is like 10 to 12. That's the Lunchable crowd.
And you get Feastables and a prime and a little bucks. What the internet went nuts about was that this is poison food. The comparisons are it's slightly better, lower sugar, slightly better for you ingredients. But all in all, it's still like both kind of junky products from a quality standpoint. Two things. They had the option to make a clean, healthy version. They chose not to. I don't think they should be punished for doing this. Like vilified like they're bad people.
No, what is Nestle doing? What is
Kraft Heinz doing? No one's punishing them. By the way, they're like the largest food makers on earth.
I think it's a lazy criticism given who they are. Yeah. And people don't like that they became so famous without the traditional ways to get famous. Yeah. They kind of did it on their own. The institutions didn't place them.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Cash. We are hot. Put your money up. Unload it to the moon. Party's back. Woo! J Pal, aka BPsey Hustle.
That's
50
good.
bips.
I didn't think of.
And what's funny is I documented in the Discord my one bet on today's. I said if in my mind I felt, and I said this on the pod last week, that if they did 50 bips, the market would go down because that means something's off.
Yep.
And the market did shoot up right away, and then it ended down. I think it's going to trend down, and it, we'll discuss about the future. Powell said he's very pleased that they were able to do 50 pips. I think that's a very bad sign.
He also said the economy's strong.
Obviously, you can't say like
labor tightness is softened, which is what he wanted.
Yeah.
He said a lot of things.
So if that's the case, then
Deep State put the call in.
So I'll give you an anecdote, and I can't say what the shopping center is, but you guys can probably figure it out. At least D and Drama can.
Yep.
And they're predicting super soft Q1, Q2.
But they think Q4 is ripping.
They are pacing above right now, but he said barely.
Okay.
And this is a massive shopping center with all the luxury stores.
Okay.
So Gucci, LVMH, like you name it.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said that people at the luxury stores that used to buy bags are now trading down for belts.
Gross.
Disgusting.
I would never. Yeah. I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, just don't go.
What are you, freaking 25-year-old me?
Yeah.
I love the designer belt at 25.
Oh yeah, you were a big designer
Louis
guy.
Vuitton,
you had your LV little messenger bag with I don't know what snacks in there.
Boxing changed it.
I had a little credit card hanging from my belt.
Oh yeah, that LV.
Yep.
Combat sports change you.
Yeah, me and Zuck.
Well, Zuck's wearing a Mary.
Right. I got to step
But
my
I
game
thought
up.
that was interesting data point that they think Q1 and Q2, it's like one of the biggest places that people shop in Southern California.
And so basically they have enough money to get through Christmas, to have a good time. I also think the thing that you're not seeing, which I bet you they're looking at, I bet you travel is softening. And the reality is, specifically cities like LA and New York and Miami rely so much on tourism. If you can start looking at the consumer, you could start seeing like some interesting party patterns to predict off of, then gets you like, oh, we're not going to have the people here because, it's interesting. So I park at the terminal at LAX and it's very expensive.
Yeah, it's right. $50 a day, right?
More. And
at that point, why wouldn't you take an Uber?
An Uber,
I'm the same way.
An Uber if I'm gone for 2 days, 2 nights, and I have to pay, let's say $120 for parking, the Uber is more money.
Marginally.
Yeah.
If you did Uber X.
I know, but like,
what is it? $50 probably?
When I land, I'm in my car and boom, gone. It's just, it's not.
For me, I just like to be back in my car as opposed to like, it's like an extra hour of travel. It feels like.
So over the summer, it got as high as $75 a day. Last week, it was $40 a day. And now because I signed up for the app or whatever, I got a 20% discount for the rest of fall. So LAX clearly has seen a drop off in travel, right? If you were to extrapolate that, my gut tells me that travel, hospitality trend down, goods spending increases. People have to spend their money. They're going to spend every dollar no matter what. I just think it's shift. I think travel is like the ultimate spend, but when you can't go on the trip, you still buy something. And I think that's
so you think it's a rotation out of travel into goods?
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper just to go to...
I mean, goods have been suffering for 18 months. Frankly, like I think you've been seeing softness on the goods side for a while. Travel's been absolute boom.
So bleep this out, Josh. And I want to get your guys' insight so you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I figured. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I gave up on trying to have a take because it seems like in some areas the economy is super fucked and slow and messed up, and then in some areas it's not. Then you hear about like the places you're talking about are rich people. It's not
and tourists. So that's kind of to Dee's point.
Yeah.
Dee's point might be right.
Those places are tourists.
I just feel the feeling I have with I can't make a good case is like the economy is worse than we're being told. I think we keep changing the definition of recession. I don't even know what a recession is anymore, what it means.
Right.
And I think that the only reason to change that definition is because we're in one or have been in one or whatever. And I don't know. I just feel like it's getting sugar coated and things are worse than they seem.
Yeah. Look, I think
I
think that's why he cut interest rates by 50 basis points. That is a significant cut. And clearly more cuts are coming. Yep. You're going to get a cut in a month from now and you're going to get a cut in November. In December, I don't think there's a Fed meeting. So
November 7th is the next, right after the election.
Yeah. Once they may, by the way, here's my honest.
That's kind of funny. Don't you think? That must have been planned.
Yeah, because I think make an impact. They should operate independently. The other thing to keep in mind that I think is the bigger concern I have is that inflation is not down. It's not gone.
Yeah, but inflation always exists in a good economy.
Specific.
I know, but
that's the point. I know you're saying it's off a high base, all that, but you need inflation, meaning that the consumer is strong because they're spending more money. That means their wage increases are happening.
I don't believe the inflation CPI number, and I'll tell you why. Every cost in everyone's life has gone up so substantially. And nowhere in our life has costs gone down except for gasoline in the last 3 months. That's it. So I'm telling you, 50 basis points. Okay, what does that mean for the average consumer? Most people, the only place it will impact is their credit card, APR.
Yep.
Instantly. If you were paying 21%, now you're paying 20.5%. I don't know if it's that literal, but let's assume it is. Right. That half point that you're saving, what are you going to do with that? You're going to spend it. So spending in America will increase as interest rates go down. What will that trigger? More inflation. Inflation is not under control.
I don't think it needs to be much more under control than it is right now.
I think for the low income side, unless wages are going to increase drastically, which they're not in this economy, there's going to be an inflationary reaction to all this rate cutting again. Because there are, dude, we're at an all-time high in the stock market. What do you think all those people are going to do? Well, fucking spend more money. And by the way, they're going to start buying houses again.
Yeah. Well, you remember the last pod? The boomers aren't giving the money away, right?
Right. The boomers are fine. We don't even need to worry about them.
Boomers are good.
They're just rolling in cash. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I
think the effects will be very long and drawn out. The effects of what happened in 2021 or whatever.
Like even with both your guys' companies, obviously there's a lot of high income earning people. If they earn that when I was earning that 20 years ago, my life was, I saved so much money.
Yeah, because look what your rent was.
$900.
Okay, where the fuck are you living in LA for $900?
Right.
I know.
You cannot find a place to live.
That's the problem.
That's inflation.
Plus you can't have kids. You're not having kids. You were single. You had no bills.
Yeah.
You had $900 rent. That was it.
Yeah,
Would you walk to the office?
No, I took the Explorer from our parents.
Okay, so you had no car.
You had $900. That was your overhead.
Yeah.
And when I was in finance, they pay for all your meals.
Yeah.
There you go.
So lunch, dinner.
So
is all
today,
paid for.
if you split rent 5 ways for a 1-bedroom, you can live like Anand used to.
Yeah.
No kids, 5 dudes in the living room.
I had a great apartment. We had tennis court, jacuzzi, swimming pool.
That's my point. Right. That's
that
the
was
thing.
An anomaly.
That's why even like we've said this, people from the 80s, they all bought a house. Why? Homes were dirt fucking cheap. You were able to save money and you bought homes. And it was easy to get a fucking loan. And it was it was easy. It was assumed, oh, you make a couple bucks, you buy a house, you live the American dream. These people today cannot do that.
Yeah. I was at lunch with a friend who was meeting with a New York guy in real estate, makes $1 million a year, married with a kid.
He's homeless.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, I saved $0.
Yeah.
Yeah. No way.
$1 million a year
With a kid?
You're destitute.
Yeah. I think the guy outside in the tent out here makes $1 million a year.
That's my point.
I can't imagine like these big cities, a family. There's just no way.
No, that's the thing with like what we're not solving for.
And what's crazy is this guy's 35 and he's like, I'm broke. I make $1 million a year.
Yeah. So then he has to move out to Bumblefuck, New Jersey so he can have a nice life. And, he has to commute an hour and a half a day and ruins his life.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so hard for your average person to get to $1 million a year.
It's impossible.
I mean, that's so much money.
It's so much money. It's so hard to earn. And the cost of everything are so inflated that that's like the argument to like leave a big city is like, you can actually like live, then you can actually live a really high quality life if you're out of the big city.
Yeah. If you go to Vegas, for example,
yeah,
you $2,000 a month, you get a 2-bedroom like luxury condo.
Yeah. And
I also feel like, did you guys see the Amazon starting in the new year is everyone's back in office?
5 days a week. Boom.
I've been calling for it.
Boom.
That's gnarly. I mean, I feel like that's also that was a little bit of a loophole, right? Like you could technically work your way up at one of these big companies and then you could move to, I don't know, outside of Nashville somewhere. And maybe that would work. $1 million bucks a year outside of Nashville, you're fine.
Yeah. And I think the other important piece to it is that this may be a natural way to cut the workforce. There's going to be people who say no.
Yep.
Right?
Of course. If you get used to something for the last 4 years.
Yeah. And people are going to make the decision that they'd rather make less money. By the way, Amazon pays very fucking well. Amazon does not pay like bullshit company. They pay.
But just
if
imagine if you're
Amazon,
imagine if you're used to a lifestyle of like a high earning Amazon employee in a smaller town. That's a huge lifestyle shift.
So I think people will make the decision that like, I'd rather stay in Denver or Colorado Springs and make less money, but continue this high quality of life.
I think the home prices in those cities have actually said the opposite. So like Austin's down.
Yeah.
Well,
they also went up too high.
Down. Even all of Florida down, because these are all the kind of remote workers.
If it was me and I worked at Amazon and I was getting paid bank, and I'd be like, all right, we're packing up back to the fucking shithole of Seattle.
Right. Oh, Seattle, that's rough. I'm just saying, if you're balling out outside of, we're at Austin and like just have a great life with your kids and your wife and a yard, and then you're Seattle.
Well, look, if you don't have to live in downtown Seattle, and you could live in the suburbs of Seattle, are nice. They're very nice.
I know, but you're still, it's still the freedom of like I'm in a nice place.
Bellevue, yeah.
Like Seattle's still rainy and cloudy, and it's just the freedom of being able to live wherever you wanted versus like, hey, you have to do this now.
And so like, look, I think if I'm predicting the future, 50 bips starts the rate cut madness. So they're going to cut more.
I think it's 200 basis points by the first half of next year.
That's very aggressive.
That's a lot.
That means shit's hit the fan.
Well, it sounds like it has.
You said under Biden.
Yeah, you're like, the economy's great. I don't know what everyone's mad about.
Admit it. We're in the shit.
Everyone's rich. Yeah. This is Bidenomics. Say it.
Yeah.
The economy is strong.
Yeah.
There he is. Back on his talking points.
So I have two other things that I learned at lunch from two different friends that I think it's interesting to point out.
Okay.
The LA private school system. So all the schools that a lot of our friends send them to, Chinese tourism, they're coming in by the droves. Like they're coming in. I don't know how they get in. They must just be paying.
Yeah. You just donate enough money. I haven't seen that at my school.
There's schools that you know of that they aren't easy to get into, that apparently this is like a whole thing. So Chinese families are moving
from
China here to get their kids into the private school system.
That's good.
Imagine imagine a Chinese family trying to understand like the woke teachings. You know what I mean? But imagine like, wait, what? You learned what today?
We know how hard it is to get into these schools. They must be donating just a fortune.
They've got to be donating a fortune, but I mean, they're probably smart. The Chinese kids.
Yeah. One of the kids at my friend's kid's private school, he won the gold medal in mathematics globally, like 4 years in a row.
Okay, fuck out of here. I mean,
let him in.
Of course, let him in. We need that. I actually like that because it's going to push local kids to step up.
But even if you're like the smartest kid, you know how it works. It's all relationship based to get in these schools.
If you're actually the smartest kid, it doesn't. You're at the top. Like if your kid is just like unbelievably talented, and by the way, not just academics, anything.
Obviously sports, you're all the way in.
But literally anything, fucking debate, chess, it doesn't matter.
There's a reason why Harvard Westlake has like 2-star MLB pitchers.
Yeah, and 10 more coming. And
can I ask if you're that? Well, you finish first, D.
Yeah, I just think that like all these schools are optimizing the best of everything. If you're good at anything, they'll take you. Right. Same thing at like college level, right? The best anything is welcome at Harvard and Stanford.
I mean, that's America. I like that. I'm into that. Let me ask, if you're this Chinese family, are you doing that because you want, there's better opportunity for your gifted kid in America? Or are you coming here for the education and you're going to go back? Or like,
I don't think there's any, there's no more prosperity in China.
That's definitely true. And I think they also want to get out. And if you can get out before it gets worse, get out.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you can get your money out one way or the other, the Havala trade or crypto or however, there's so many different ways people are doing this from China that are going to Dubai, that are going to all these different places. and they want out. So if you're wealthy in China, you're trying to figure a way to get out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And look, it's been hard to come to America. So a lot of them have end up in Canada, has a lot of Chinese people. Vancouver specifically.
I'm blanking on the term, but if you invest $500,000 to $1 million in the US and create jobs, you automatically get a visa.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if that's still happening, but that was a big way that a lot of people got here back in the day. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I think the reality is Zohan was right. China's over. China's
right.
Within 10 years, 2 years ago.
He's not far off.
Zohan's on the right track.
I think Zohan was spot on.
Because I had never heard, I know there was Chinese tourism for higher education.
Yeah.
Like all the big colleges.
Yeah.
I'd not heard for freaking kindergarten.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Before we jump to the next topic, because speaking of Zohan, I want to move on. But September 18th, 2007, 50 bips was cut.
Okay. Before the financial crisis.
Yes. Let's leave it at that.
Right.
I think the market went down 54% after that. And then similarly in 1999, there was 50.
That was the .com crash. So what's the
interest rate cut?
What's the crash now?
There's a million things that can happen.
Yeah.
Because those are both so financial crisis is a systemic mortgage loan default on the American consumer. Everyone's house was getting foreclosed. No one had any money.
Yeah.
So that affected hundreds of millions of people.
I don't know. No one saw that coming and it happened. We don't know what it is. We're not that fucking smart.
No, you could talk about it. Like, obviously, real estate's fucked. We know that.
Yeah.
Commercial
real estate. I don't know. I have a friend who just sold a home, bought it over 10 years ago and broke even.
What neighborhood? SoCal?
Bleep that out, Josh.
Yeah. I'm not, that's not surprising. That's not.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking at offices and they are still expensive.
So here's what it is, drama on office is the list price has to continue to stay that high because they have like bank loans against it. Right. But there's a lot of like, once you start negotiating.
Right.
Yes.
That's where the difference is because the sticker looks the same. It always has. They're
going to keep the sticker, but there's a lot of other things you can get.
Right. Right. Okay, that makes sense. Because I went out for my first round of office tours and I'm like, what the fuck? I thought everyone was struggling.
Are you using my guy?
Yeah.
Just tell him, ask him about our situation. He's good. He got a lot of hot deals.
Yeah. Okay.
So you'll be fine.
So yeah, I guess. Yeah. Then you're right. Then. So I don't know, dude. There's something. There's a shark in the water. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's true. There is a shark in the water. I just don't know if it affects people in mass. That's what I am.
But in 2008, Drama was riding around in a fucking Lambo or whatever.
Yeah, he's an elite.
Fucking know.
He's a liberal elite.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Yeah,
I read about it afterwards, like it was fucking Pearl Harbor, and little did I know I was starting a business. It was really funny.
I saw someone tweet this. It could have been completely fake, but he's like, "I'm sitting on an airplane, and someone just shouted out like, oh, 50 basis point cut. And no one gave a fuck, obviously. Like the average person does not even know what happened, give a fuck, whatever. So he's like, I just looked at him in solidarity, like good news, but he's like, no one cares.
Right. I mean,
it is true.
I'm not trying to call this dude out. But my friend who listens to the pod, who has followed a lot of our investments and made a lot of money, said the other day, hey, what's a basis point?
Right.
So like, I just think it's a little like, I don't think your average person is really tuned in to what's going on in this.
I would suspect that if 15 years ago, no one would know anything about basis point cuts. Today, it's probably like 20% more. Because it's all over Twitter. It's all over like every news publication.
But here's my question. Are we just older? Like, did the same amount of people our age care then and the same amount of young people do not give a shit? I don't think anyone under 25 could give a shit less about a basis point.
Yeah, I agree. I think to your point. So 2018.
By the way, 50 basis points is 0.5%.
Yeah.
It's going to impact fucking nobody.
So in 2018, so 6 years ago, so I was 34 or 35 now. Fuck. And like there was a tech correction in the stock market. And I was just watching. I wasn't really invested in public stocks. I was not invested in public stocks. And I was wondering why everything was going down. And everyone said the Fed, the Fed, the Fed. And I didn't even know what that meant. And I was 35 years old.
Right. Yeah. Look, I do think it obviously heavily affects like emotions, right? Like it definitely affects like people's optimism about loans and mortgages and things like that, which I think has a crazy ripple effect. So that definitely has an impact. Does the actual hard, 0.5% really matter? No, but I do think. But I don't know. You're also seeing people panic because it was 50 as opposed to 25. So who knows the effect? But I think it has more of an effect on that.
Like to the population on that plane that you just referenced, they just look at their bank account. Like, can I go to dinner? Can I do things? That's all they care about.
Yeah, and that's my point. Everybody. Is that like that's everyone. Yeah. I don't think honestly, like if it wasn't for the podcast and maybe a little bit of work related stuff, I don't give a fuck 50 bips.
No, it affects if you own public stocks, it affects it.
Sure. I think that the reality is though,
and if you're investing or if you're banking on investing from private institutions, it affects it.
Yeah. I think
that's a small population.
Very small. That's my point is that like, I think at the end of the day, even if we have a recession or a correction, very few people are impacted by it. Most people will tighten their belts for a period of time, make some sacrifices and jump through it. We know it's not 2008. So it's not going to like be devastating impact where families' lives are going to ruin. Some people's lives are going to get ruined, but the vast majority are not. And we just go on with their life, right? Like I don't know what the reason why the market would go down 30, 40%. That would be very bad. But if let's assume everything stays, like it's a slow, drippy problem, then, a little pain at the market or a little pain in the economy is stomachable. If it's something worse than that, then shit, all bets off, everything goes.
You know what? I'd like to lean into my conspiracy theory to your point, D, is I think in 2008, it was financial crisis. The one before that was .com. And I honestly think this one is Trump getting reelected.
It causes panic.
No. I think this is a deep state rate cut to help make the economy look better for the election. Because you hear, like, even when we were arguing with Anand, right? One of the main things Anand went to was the economy's great. And so if the economy's not that great and you could grade it up a little bit, I think they look at him as such an existential threat that they would do a big cut to stimulate the economy right before the election. I think it's
the Democrats were...
It's a tinfoil hat theory that I'm going to lean into for fun.
They were calling for 75 basis points.
Yeah, because they
want 150.
What they should do, if they want to win, I will write a check to Harris Waltz if they cut it 400 basis points.
Just get it back to the party.
2%. I will write a check. I will donate the thing. I'll take the fucking picture. I'll post it. Harris Waltz. I'm a brat. I'm a this, whatever. I'm all in. Cut it 400.
Yeah, you'd probably be a billionaire.
I might be a billionaire at 400 basis cut.
I just want to float that. I also think Jay Powell went pretty hard on the, we are not impacted by any president or party. And I think that's, in my tinfoil hat theory, I'm going to say that's a tell.
I think he could have. So there was actually a great all-in YouTube from their summit. I don't know if you guys listened to it. No. This economist Jeffrey Sachs.
Oh no!
And the other guy, I can't even pronounce his name, but
I saw the big guys.
He's like a professor or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like 20, 30 minutes in, and they explain the deep state, and it's not as because they obviously have been in the know for the last 40, 50 years, right?
Right.
And they basically said the deep state is, and this could be debated, is
that's their opinion.
And
They're probably part of the deep state.
They're anti the deep state, so they were criticizing it. They're basically like bureaucrats get in, she's like, I know people from the Bush administration in 92 that stayed through the Clinton administration, that stayed through the next Bush administration, that stayed through Obama. And he's like, they're the ones that make the power. Right. And the president really doesn't have as much say as you think.
So why is everyone worried about Trump then?
I think he's the wild card.
Right. And I would also argue that if you go one level above all of those bureaucrats, it is the actual Clintons and Bushes and those people who are friends who are putting those people into place and maybe recommending that they stick around. I mean, look, we all know how this shit works. If once again, if you're an investor in a big company and you have the CEO's phone number, of course you're calling him on Thursday night to recommend something he should take a look at. And I have no fucking idea what the deep state is, but I think that it's probably a little more than the innocence of the secretary who stuck around through a couple administrations.
There's clearly two deep states. One is the Epstein Diddy deep state. Then there's the bureaucratic deep state.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Diddy one because that's more interesting.
Yeah, let's go.
P. Diddy,
baby oil.
Arguably is one of the most influential figures of our adult life.
Since the early 90s.
Yes. For life. Think about how Kennedy had a big impact on a lot of young people in the 60s. Diddy had a lot of impact on a lot of people.
He is the guy that Obama went to. This isn't a diss on Obama or the Democrats. That Obama went to make him culturally cool and get him elected. That is a very famous, well-known story. I mean, his power, the height of Diddy is unmatched.
Yeah, the New York Marathon.
New Vote or Die. Diddy.
Come on,
B.I.G.
Dude.
So, there was always conspiracy. I remember vividly. When did Tupac get killed? 92?
94, I think.
Okay. I remember sitting in the parking lot when Tupac got killed the next day, talking to my friends, and everyone was like, Diddy and Biggie killed him. Which at that point...
Yeah, they were right so long ago.
Yeah, they it was like one of those Occam's razor things. It was so obvious these motherfuckers killed him. But we didn't know what the hell that meant.
Right.
Fast forward, look, this guy goes on to have this insane trajectory to his career. Probably killed Biggie. Fuck it, he probably did.
Yep, I'm sure.
Right, and now
that's Occam's razor.
Yeah, it's obvious he killed Diddy.
And he became
Tupac.
one of the most important people in music after he killed Biggie.
Beyond music, this guy was Diddy. He was
culturally, it's
people now he's a joke, but just 5 years ago he was the biggest thing in the world.
I would say 2 years ago.
And so fast forward. He obviously lived this extremely reckless life, and there's a lot of deep state on Diddy. How did there was in the lawsuit there was a dinner that Jimmy Iovine and Usher were at where he punched Cassie in the face, and everyone just put their head down and kept eating.
Now he punched Drake in the face.
He's punched everyone.
Yeah,
it's a well-known
big
story.
puncher. Yeah,
and everyone looked away. So was he put up by the CIA? No, but everyone around enabled him to do what he did.
Right. That was going to be my loser of the week, by the way, because of that fact. Because everyone knew. I mean, we had. It wasn't a secret.
The three of us are not in the music business. I guess you kind of were early.
But not. Yeah.
And we know everything that he did.
Yeah.
And we have no connection to him.
It was just the freak offs that everyone's talking about. That was always a rumor. Oh yeah, whatever. Diddy fucks guys. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But it was way crazier.
It's crazier because he was videotaping them and then blackmailing them.
Yes. And why do you need thousands of bottles of oils?
Dude, this guy is
how many people are over on these freak offs?
He must just be dousing entire hotel rooms and just slip sliding around.
Haven't you? I know you're on TikTok, Drama. There's been bodyguards in the last year from Puff that have been
Deal.
talking about this, like saying everything.
Yep.
And this is before the indictment, before the charges. And they're like, we saw everything.
I think there was like, you hear about this a lot. Like, I think there was just a momentum in the universe that built up. And like, first, some people started talking about it. There's a lot of suspicion over Kim Porter, how she died, and was there foul play there?
That's very suspicious.
Yeah,
very.
Smoked her too.
That started.
This guy probably has 20 bodies on him.
Right.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. And so I think it just kind of built and built. And then the real breakthrough moment was Cassie filing her lawsuit. And it just opened the floodgates. And I think then obviously it gets the attention of law enforcement. Then they start digging. I think it just is like it's a slow build that just, I don't know.
I saw this firsthand. He almost beat the shit out of Amanda, and his bodyguards did nothing. And if it weren't for our friend who bear hugged him, he would have just decked her.
Yeah, right. And no one would have ever known. You would have got a check.
Yeah. There were cameras at that house.
Yeah, but you would have just gotten a check.
Yeah. Someone got $100 million. Won't be bad.
Yeah, even when we worked with Cassie, we did a collab with Cassie, and there were like, some weird moments around that, because obviously Diddy was around a lot.
I wonder, do we have the video of the toast in the store?
I'm sure. I have the photo.
A lot of bad characters that were around us.
Yeah. That's why, like, I feel so. We were always like on the fringes, like, you know what I mean? Like,
we were never invited to the freak offs. Just to make clear.
And I'm glad that I wasn't. But
we were around the people that were.
Oh, I'm sure there was. There was one particular party we went to where I'm sure a freak off started 2 hours later, but. We're not.
Are you talking about the one in Miami?
Yeah. I mean, that's the scene of so many freak offs. Little did we know. We didn't even know we were in the Lion's Den. We just went to a little get together. I bet they were rolling out the baby oil right as we were leaving.
And like, there was always like, remember the security guard talking about Diddy and Meek Mill's relationship, and everyone was like, this fucking security guard just wants money.
Yeah.
At this point, everything was true.
Everything was true. And I'm just telling you, I saw firsthand the bodyguards didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They could have easily been like, yo, this is a white girl. It's going to be very expensive.
Right. Well, maybe they just know the price. White, 25.
Yeah. It's also funny to me that like kind of like what you said, D, is like, we had all heard these different rumors. Like, I heard a rumor about him lighting Kid Cudi's car on fire. But you just hear all these rumors and you're like, some of it's probably true. Some of it's probably not, whatever. Literally, it was all true plus more. I mean, the Kid Cudi car on fire is in the
lawsuits, right?
Yeah. And
testimonies. Yeah.
I mean, he's on no bail.
Right. So I'm just saying it's all true and worse.
And you have to imagine how many people have looked the other way. This guy was out every week.
Every record label head, every single one. For you name the label, Universal, Interscope,
Obama. You don't think President Obama did not know what he signed up for?
They had to tell him.
I think he was pretty naive then.
But don't they tell him like, hey, he does these little things called freak offs, whatever. You don't need to talk about it. He's going to
he'll get young people to vote.
Just oil them up.
I mean, everyone of that stature, like the label heads and the A-list stars, all knew because they were part of the parties.
Yeah.
Even Marlon Wayans, he was on Shannon Sharp's show.
Yeah.
I saw some clips.
Yeah.
He claims, I left at 3:30.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
that's kind of what we're claiming.
Drum and I were at the same one, and then we left at 5.
Right,
we left at 5 a.m.
5 p.m. or 5 a.m.?
5 a.m.
Okay, well, let's
no oil in sight, though. I didn't see one can of baby oil.
Ask for these security guards.
Right, it was real like violent.
There was this Indian and white guy. They were just getting pounded.
Yeah. They were covered in oil, just sliding around the living room.
Orange face is always glossy. He's always putting some shit on his face.
Yeah, it's baby oil. God damn it. Yeah, it's just, I think, like, here's the thing, and I want to be clear because some of our listeners will take this out of context, is we were never in any of these circles enough to really see this going down. But a lot of people were. and a lot of people were at the parties. A lot of celebrities were involved. Like you said, a lot of the record label execs. I'm sure that there was hush money paid. Obviously, the way that things were going down with Cassie and the abuse and the assistants that covered it up. It's just, I think that's the part that is so fucked about, especially, I would just say like celebrity culture. Not all celebrities obviously are bad, but like the way that people let people get away with things is just, it just sucks. You know, like that's part of the reputation that Hollywood has. And that's why a lot of people think that everything's evil here and whatever. It's not that. But man, like for that many people to cover up that terrible of behavior for so long. Look, if this guy just liked to oil himself up and call male prostitutes, not a big deal. It's the abuse and the threats and the really dark stuff that was going on that so many people covered for. I mean, look, this whole shooting with Shine and J-Lo, I mean, that means this is like 30 years of wild fucking behavior that is always somehow he's skated away from. That sucks.
2 questions. I know you got to go. 2 questions. One, the analogy I see now is just the Drake Kendrick beef. So Drake was the biggest star on the freaking planet. Yeah. And he picked a battle with the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And no one's coming to his defense because he's probably done a lot of bad shit.
Right.
I don't know. Kendrick like slayed the bully and he was the biggest guy in rap. Right. And I haven't seen anyone of stature come to his defense.
Yeah.
So what was going on there?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And for the record, my guess is I have no fucking idea, and I haven't heard crazy stories about Drake other than, you know, and this has been said by other people, so I'm not snitching here, but that he just will like purposely hit up dudes' girlfriends or whatever. Wives. And like, and like hook up with people's girlfriends and wives. And it's a very common thing. And so everyone's just like, oh, fuck him. And there's this universal, like, you know, not as bad as like AR-15s and baby oil and beating the shit out of girls. I don't.
Yeah. Like,
you know,
the other point that I want to make is you would think after the Harvey Weinstein, where he just got busted for everything, this behavior would have slowed down.
For who?
For super famous celebrities in Hollywood.
Yeah, but like if you're like a powerful person and nothing's happened to you, you continue to act like that. You don't think there's people doing it right now, today, right this second, someone's doing it.
I actually had a conversation with someone who's in finance, and I was like, is this what's going on? And I know a ton of people in finance. I was like, they get treated like shit. You know, they get abused verbally, but it's not to this level where like the boss is asking them to bone the analyst.
How do you know?
I mean, I know
there's
a lot
probably
of people.
some smaller level stuff going on. I think Diddy, I also think there's a chance that Diddy might be like one of the final behemoths of the previous age. I don't know that anyone is doing it on the level that he has done it for 30 years, not only in business, but in fucking depravity. There's no one like, I mean, I'm not saying there's not weird parties and dark shit going on, but that, I don't know. We all hear stories. We heard stories about Puff for a long time. I don't hear any stories of that level consistently about anyone else.
The last thing I say on this is A-listers that kind of rise to fame pretty quickly, you have to be suspicious how they got there.
Yeah.
Kanye said he's fed.
See, that's why
Diddy.
That's why this is a little too, I don't know. Like the reason I hate that people keep propping up Kanye, I'm not saying Kanye is doing anything close to what Diddy's doing, but it's like when someone is showing like really bad behavior for any normal person, like someone's got to step in. I know it's so hard. I know these people are like impossible to get through to, but like the executives have to stop giving them opportunities. The businesses have to stop. Like you got to stop, man. That's how you get a Diddy. I feel like he used to do so much shit and he just kept getting bigger and bigger deals and keep getting.
Don't you think the biggest problem from the Diddy story is there's no consequences outside of him? So all the people that were
that's Epstein. Zero consequences.
Yeah.
He was dealing with a lot more powerful
But I bet
people.
a lot of people in the
Who do
Diddy
you
story.
think Diddy's dealing with? You don't think Diddy's dealing with powerful people? Come on.
No, I'm saying like the record label execs. No one cares. The brands, Ciroc.
Right.
What's the parent company?
Diageo.
Like everyone just moves on.
Woj resigned.
Yeah.
Yeah, Woj might have been invited. That's true on it. It is fucked up. But I think a lot of the smaller people are choosing to be informants, and that's how they get out of it, right? Like I think they probably go to like all the people around and say like, yo, if you participate, you'll get immunity. And that's why you'll probably see most of it just be on Puff.
I also think it's these guys, we know they all have malpractice in business and they don't pay people, and you stiff someone a check, you kick them off set. They're
and
like,
then they just burn the house down.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm telling everyone everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think, like I said, like the way, like I think Jimmy Iovine, I'm not trying to give him too much credit because who knows? Maybe he's the worst. Like this is how the music industry used to be. Like people were shooting each other. Like imagine like the stories about the death row offices and what was going on there. And like, I think that those people got into that business knowing that it was just insane. And I think today it's not nearly as insane as like hip hop was in the 90s in the actual business. But like, I think Puff just ran it into the ground. He just kept with his old ways all the way to 2024.
I remember, didn't you go to the Interscope offices like 25 years ago and you said it was crazy? It was crazy. Security.
Yeah. It was like insane. I went to the Bad Boy office in Times Square in early 2000s. And the waiting area was behind a bulletproof glass, crazy security. And then you got into another room. Like, we used to dress all their artists in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And that was just like cool. Like, you know, I'm not saying that it didn't, at the time it wasn't cool, but like, it was just like, fucking hip hop. But now that we're just a little older and we think about things in terms of a business, like, it's like, crazy. Oh shit, that was fucked up.
Okay, like, can you imagine like Interscope? I don't know who owned Interscope at that point. Some huge conglomerate, Universal, whatever it was. This huge multi-billion-dollar company was funding businesses where people are just fucking killing each other. Right. That's like, imagine if Andreessen goes, you know what? We're gonna take a flyer on the Chilean gangs. Fuck it. Their return on spend is pretty good. You finance 17 Chileans, you may get $2 million a product a month. That's basically what they were doing at that era.
Yeah.
They're operating illegally. They were shooting and killing each other to get business.
Yes.
There's
eliminate competition.
Yeah. Imagine if the funds were just doing that. Like Sam Altman just takes out fucking Perplexity guy.
Or Sergey.
Yeah.
There's a line. I want to see if I can just find it real quick. 1 second. Okay. There's a line. So in the documentary Defiant Ones, which is about Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine and how their careers sort of overlapped, there's a line where Jimmy Iovine is talking about signing Aftermath in the 90s and during all the beef and all the crazy stuff. His exact quote is, "Am I defending free speech or funding Hamas?"
Oh my fucking God.
Like in his mind,
this is what year?
This is what he was asking himself while he was funding Aftermath is, am I defending free speech and like gangster rap and the stories from this perspective? And is this a great thing? Or am I funding Hamas? Am I just bankrolling
funding terrorism?
Terror?
Yeah.
And that must be how it felt.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And these were like, at that time, probably publicly traded entities.
Right.
Like, oh, we have this division that's shitting cash, but you know, questionable things are being done on a daily basis.
That's why like all the CIA movies and shows that we've seen over the last couple decades, they're probably underselling it in terms of what really goes on.
I bet.
My analogy is Silicon Valley, the show everyone thought that was parody, and that was like like 10%
It
of what
doesn't
really
even
goes
look
on.
fake now. It looks, it's happens.
No, it's not even close to what happens.
Yeah, it's way worse.
It's way worse.
Like imagine what was on Jimmy Iovine's, email or whatever mail in those days, any given day in the 90s. It must have been insane.
Yeah. Suge went out for dinner. 7 people got beat up.
Right. Shot a guy.
Bill's $40K.
Puffy won't stop buying baby oil. Fucking, you're invited to a birthday party.
That's the point, that all these people that profited off it, they just go to the next guy.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is like,
that part is fucked up, I think, a little bit.
I know you got to go, so we'll let you go.
It's just I was having too much fun. Okay. It's just I got to say, here's my closing statement: is even after the raids and all the stuff, a lot of time passed, and I kind of started to feel like, man, Puff's. You'd see videos of Puff like at Topgolf and like whatever, and I'm like,
he was at Central Park right before he got arrested,
right? And I was like, damn, he's not gonna. Yeah, I was like, he's not gonna get arrested. This whole thing is just gonna keep getting swept under the rug. And the fact that he is currently in jail without bail is fucking nuts. So
who's the next shoe to drop from that generation? Predictions.
I don't think anyone was doing it like Diddy did it.
No. I know the internet wants to think it's Jay-Z. It's just not. And like, I just don't believe that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people calling for Jay-Z, but I just don't think it has.
I think they're calling for it because he's just too rich and powerful. But like, I mean, all the stuff I think is pretty public of his. She got arrested for.
And his best alibi is how he handled when Solange started attacking him. He was chill.
Yeah.
Right.
He was like, all right, chill out.
He seems like a chill guy.
Yeah, I've never, I don't know. All right, I'm so late. Have fun.
Yeah.
See you guys soon.
All right.
Peace.
So big news in CPG land. And what's interesting, this has been a very polarizing piece of content that came out yesterday. MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul have partnered together to launch Lunchly, a competitor to Kraft Heinz, because they own Lunchables. I think it's genius.
Home run.
So you get a Prime energy drink.
We were told MrBeast's average age of audience is like 10 to 12. That's the Lunchable crowd.
And you get Feastables and a Prime and a little box. What the internet went nuts about was that this is poison food. The comparisons are it's slightly better, lower sugar, slightly better for you ingredients. But all in all, it's still like both kind of junky products from a quality standpoint. 2 things. They had the option to make a clean, healthy version. They chose not to. I don't think they should be punished for doing this, like vilified like they're bad people.
No, what is Nestle doing? What
is Kraft Heinz doing? No one's punishing them. By the way, they're like the largest food makers on earth.
I think it's a lazy criticism given who they are. Yeah. And people don't like that they became so famous without the traditional ways to get famous. Yeah. They kind of did it on their own.
He's the Diddy of YouTube.
The institutions didn't place them. Because, in Hollywood, actors get placed. Like we talked about it in the Diddy segment. Yeah. A-listers just get made. Yeah, like you're the new guy. Yeah. Or woman.
Studio head likes you, you're good.
And these guys had to do it on their own.
They literally fought their way to the top. Literally, Logan Paul beat people up to get to the top.
And did crazy videos, and MrBeast did videos, and KSI, obviously. And I think the establishment is just so scared that these guys are going to come. That's $1 billion business.
And that's the thing to me that really drives me crazy is really the lack of understanding that you're letting the incumbent do exactly whatever they want. There's finally a challenger. By the way, the likelihood of MrBeast and Logan Paul and KSI 3 years from now changing their ingredients to clean is much higher than Kraft Heinz.
Sure.
I would bet that this product is substantially healthier 3 years from now than it is today. And the consumer has to demand it at the end of the day. If the consumer is not asking for better for you products, why the fuck would you give it to them? Right? Like, you just wouldn't. The consumer's not saying, I don't want Doritos. No, I want Doritos.
You know, I'm curious how many CPG executives, consumer brand executives, know who Kai Cenat, Speed, and Aiden Ross are.
A lot now.
You think so?
Let me tell you, when I was in Bentonville, everyone was mentioning those names.
Okay. They're paying attention.
Oh yeah. Oh, that story has changed. Like I think MrBeast really punched, and the Prime thing punched everyone in the face.
Because everyone was like, I can't believe we missed this.
Yes, it was such an easy, like Kraft Heinz could have gone to these guys, done a JV, say, well, why don't you guys take over Lunchables?
Did you see Speed with Manny Pacquiao?
Yeah, he got knocked out.
Well, obviously he was going to do it. He just gave him the liver punch and he was just waiting. Manny Pacquiao was just waiting to let him have some time.
But I think that's the opportunity here, is that like this is going to continue to happen. This is continue to be the new wave of like brands that are going to get built. And I know like business is tough for a lot of people right now, and it's ugly out there. But man, you want to know who the heroes of today are? It's what MrBeast and Logan Paul and Psy are doing. KSI, like these guys are going to change the way consumers behave, and we can all ride the wave. We get to be the beneficiaries of it, because like if they go take down Kraft Heinz out of a category, or what Prime did,
like what MrBeast, he's going after Hershey's.
Yeah. Why not?
I mean, how much money is this guy going to be worth?
He's worth $10 billion. Not $1 billion.
Like 24, 25?
Yeah. It's insane. It's unbelievable. And I think it's great. It shows that we have evolved so much that social media and the VC bet was right. They just didn't have the stomach for it. That the creator economy is going to change consumer. They wanted immediate return. It was going to take a decade. They just weren't going to be patient enough. They should keep funding these fucking companies for the next 10 years, and you will topple Kraft Heinz. You will topple Procter & Gamble. You will topple these companies, but you got to keep funding it.
Yeah, I agree with that. These kids are just too powerful.
Yeah. I mean, these 30 million, 40 million people.
Yeah. I mean, any one of these streamers, their clips, it's minimum millions.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. All right. Let's move on to winners, losers content.
My winner.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity. And this is non-political, but the fact that Israel was able to pull off the pager detonation.
So just to explain to people if they don't know, because a lot of people don't know the story. 1,200 pagers 2 days ago, yesterday, detonated in Lebanon.
Yep.
Targeting Hezbollah operatives via a pager. And they moved to a pager because they knew the cell phones could be tracked by Israel. And so they moved to pagers. These detonated. I think 12 people have been killed. A lot of people have been injured. And can you imagine the long-term planning that this must have taken to execute this? Is this years in the making?
No. I talked to our mutual friend who served in the Israeli army as a bomb sergeant. He said it's probably months.
That's unbelievable to execute that in months. And to find a person that had the trust, because Hezbollah is not just buying pagers at the local Best Buy.
The running theory is that they compromised the supply chain. And via
where they were manufactured.
In Europe.
Yeah.
So they're being manufactured in Europe, and they were buying these pagers, and they were able to implant whatever explosive that they used. And the larger and scary point is all our iPhones are made in China.
Yeah. who's
So
our
are
arch
we
nemesis.
all have explosive devices now?
I think,
Can they just launch an explosive?
yeah, and to be fair, like unbelievable work. Kudos to them. I think it just opened people's eyes to what's possible now. And I think it's really fucking scary.
It's very scary.
And
so that's why
the thing I don't like about what happened, just like culturally, it became a kind of a meme and a joke. And like, it's funny, by the way, the memes are hilarious, but I don't think like this type of shit should be celebrated because it's like, these guys are at war with each other and they're going to do whatever they have to do to win and fight and kill and people are going to die. But like, I didn't like the vibe that it's created.
But that's pretty much everything at this point.
I know everything's a joke. That's the problem.
I mean, Elon treats everything as a joke.
Yeah, of course. I do think on the phone topic, we talked about this in our friend
And then
group
they
chat.
did walkie-talkies today.
Walkie-talkies today. Yeah. I mean,
And these are technologies that no one used for the last like 15, 20 years.
yeah.
Like you had a pager in college. That's 25 years ago.
Yeah. It's insane. The more interesting piece to it is, though, you start thinking about Americans' protection. Obviously, making a phone in America is very expensive. I know most people would not pay a premium for a made in USA product, 99% of the population.
Yep.
But there is clearly a market today for a made in USA phone.
Yeah, I think what this taught us, so it's really not a winner, but the winner is the technology that is possible to do all this.
Yeah.
But our supply chains are likely all compromised.
Yeah.
And how they want to be used, think about Tesla. They make the batteries in China.
Yeah.
You could blow up Teslas.
Yeah. That would not be good. I do think there's an opportunity.
Every car.
Yeah. But I do think there's a possibility that a USA phone could emerge and be a real contender, right? Like it's a status thing at the end of the day. If you make a phone, we may go backwards where the status of and we've joked this, some of the richest people we know rock the iPhone 1.
Yep. Or this small one.
They're OG. That's like a sign of wealth. You don't have anything. You gotta know you want to pick up the phone and call me. If we don't need the power of this phone anymore because we're choosing to go down a different path, the elite in America will gravitate toward a device that's safer.
Yeah, I mean, you could go down the rabbit hole. Like, think about how many people have a Ring at their house. Where's that manufactured?
Yeah,
So-
I don't know. Yeah.
The point is, you can compromise these supply chains clearly pretty easily. Because, I don't believe that they were able to just. How else can you have an explosive device on a pager unless you did it at the building part of it?
Yeah.
So, anyways,
yeah, it's wild.
I don't even know if that was a winner, but it was just an interesting topic.
Yeah, it's insane. My winner was originally going to be that, but I think the interesting winner that I wanted to pick was Woj. Woj is the very famous ESPN basketball commentator that is Woj Bomb,
NBA insider.
Yeah, who basically was like the OG person. Adam Schefter is for NFL. He was for NBA.
And Shams is his competitor.
And basically, all they do is during free agency, who's doing this, who's doing that, blah, 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 blah. And it became like a cultural thing. One, I did not know this guy was making $7 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's bonkers. To what? Just say people got traded?
I mean, he's one of the faces of the NBA of the last, decade plus. I think he worked, it's an interesting stat. LeBron outlasted Woj for what Woj worked at ESPN.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
LeBron at NBA, Woj at ESPN.
That's insane. So this guy is leaving ESPN and is now joining as GM of college basketball for St. Bonaventure and going all in on being helping them be a powerhouse in basketball, NIL, recruiting, everything like that. Obviously, the pay is not anywhere near that, but I guess he's probably made so much money. And he's like, fuck it. I'm going to go do something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, because his job is a 24-hour job.
Yeah.
If you're one of those insiders, and Adam Schefter, the NFL version of him, did an interview today, and you could hear it in his voice that he was almost jealous that he doesn't have to do this anymore. Yeah. Because Schefter has to do that for the NFL.
I mean, he looks so tired all the time when you see him.
And Shams is in his 20s.
Yeah.
So Shams is like, he was also kicking his ass.
Yeah.
Shams was like the guy, and he was probably like, I don't want to do this anymore. This young kid clearly has more energy than I do.
Yeah, he doesn't need to sleep.
Yeah. And he was Shams has gained a lot of notoriety, and I wonder if ESPN picks him up or gives him $8 million a year.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. But I was more surprised at how much money this guy was fucking making.
If you there's only like 7 to 10 personalities at ESPN that make that kind of money, and he was one of them.
Yeah. Great.
Stephen A. Smith's a free agent, by the way, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
If I was ESPN, I would not sign him. I would sunset that entire era. You just go get funny people.
Yeah, I mean.
And then who cares? You're just banking on TV rights. The ratings of those shows are a joke. Give Speed. Let Speed be the face of ESPN. Get the younger audience. These old people are out. Who gives a fuck? Boomers.
See,
I would let them go. They're not going to do that because it's too risky for them. They're going to pay him, but I wouldn't pay him. If I was him, you have to do drastic.
I mean, that's the right decision. I agree.
Okay.
Loser. My loser's Twitter. Okay. So their revenue numbers leaked because obviously they have public debt. Mm-hmm. So they have to report it. Q2 22, 661 million of revenue. Mm-hmm. Q2 of 2024, 114. So down 84%.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't give a shit.
I know he doesn't, but the advertisers have left.
Yeah, they left. I get it. It's a polarizing platform. Look, I don't think he's the only person, in my opinion, that should own the platform. Because it can operate the way that it can operate.
Because he doesn't care.
Yes, he doesn't need the money. He's going to be a trillionaire. SpaceX is worth $1 trillion. You know, that business is out of here. Tesla's going to be worth $1 trillion. Whatever. He's going to be the richest man ever. Fuck it. He doesn't give a shit about it. Mark Cuban said he wanted to buy it. Elon trolled him by saying...
It was an Elon parody account.
Oh, it was? But it was so good. Your credit card got declined. Yeah, I think he liked it, maybe.
39 billion short.
It's too good. I mean, I think Twitter needs to be what it is. You don't have to like it. You don't have to go on it. But I think it serves its purpose in society. And if you think that's toxic, you should go play a video game and go in a chat. Way worse. Way worse than what's happening on X. All right. My loser of the week. The 50 basis point really got me nervous. I'm not a fan. So I do think we all have to proceed with caution, because if they're seeing something that we're not, then that's not good. That's my loser.
Yeah, it's fair. We talked about it.
Yep.
At the top of the pod. So
content.
My content was the pod I referenced, or the YouTube I referenced earlier. I want to get the exact names right. So it is John Mearsheimer and Jeffrey Sachs at the All In Summit, talking about foreign politics, deep state, their economists, how they view the world. And I'm like halfway through. Super interesting. Highly recommend.
Okay.
But it's only on YouTube. So that's the only way you can find it.
Okay, great. My content is USC is traveling to the great state of Michigan on Saturday to completely demolish the University of Michigan. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a very sad day for all the fans in Ann Arbor. That's my content.
We're only 5.5 point favorites. Fishy line.
We should be 3 touchdowns. I wish if I was a gambling person, I'd bet it up. Minus 14.
It's a rat line is what they say.
Well, you're a rat if you don't bet on fucking SC.
I'm rooting for SC.
All right, we're going to go into some YouTube comments. We like to always share those. First one from Chaotic Neutral 01. The denial from D and drama about the fall of the empire turned into Trumpism over the course of the past 2 years is wild to the point of entertaining. On and you need to back these fools are touting conspiracies about brown people that aren't Indian. Every other episode. Hide your cats and dogs, guys. Everything is turning out to be true. Travel Spring LA, which is our mom, commented, DM, so glad.
Who'd she DM?
No, it's on the comments.
Oh, on the comments.
Yes. DM, so glad you accept importance of religions. Tried to tell you for 40 years.
That's pretty good.
The next, Kings, thank you for making my Mondays and Thursdays so much better over the past 3 years. The show has been a constant highlight. Great. And then I have a question for all 3 of you. How would you approach a career switch at 30? I spent the last 6 years working as a technical recruiter, making 102 hires in blockchain infrastructure. I've been considering starting my own recruitment agency because I'm confident in my ability to make the hires, but the uncertainty of bills and no steady income is daunting, considering clients want a contingency plan. I'm also thinking about transitioning into a different field, one where I can have a more direct impact on the business, less external. While recruitment is impactful, it often feels like that impact doesn't always translate. What advice you would give to someone in my position? Also want to mention I'm self-aware enough to realize this question is very out there with the brief context. So here's my opinion, because I know a lot of recruiters. It's an incredible profession to do independently. You just have to stomach the time it takes to build your book of business and actually convert, especially in this work environment where it is extremely competitive for every single hire. My gut tells me that you'll be successful going on your own. It's just how long can you hang? Can you hang for 3 months? Can you hang for 6 months? Can you hang for a year? But it is incredibly lucrative if you're able to go out on your own, because I know a lot of people have done it.
I think recruitment, because I know a few or people that run recruiting agencies, they have said it's gotten soft.
Yeah. Oh, it's very soft.
Because there's only a handful of, like, if you're not an AI company or even Ghost who's growing so fast, they aren't hiring the way they used to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, of course. It's been
and then if AI bubble crashes.
But here's the thing. It's been soft for over a year. It's been soft for 18 months. I mean, the bubble burst in growth tech in the end of 21, early 22.
22, yeah.
22. It's been 2 fucking years.
Yeah. And
recruiting's been dead for 2 years.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's coming back.
No, I think 100% is coming back. If they cut 400 bips, like I said, it's going to be booming. The VC market, it's teetering, right? Like you give a couple more interest rate cuts, this thing might just explode. This party's been dead for years.
Yeah.
Been 2-3 years it's been dead.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it does, because that means the economy is doing well.
No, but this market can do well without the economy doing well. If VC money just explodes into the private market, then it's going to, for someone like her in the recruiting space, she could really thrive. Good luck. Got some shout outs from C Mora 95. Even though I've been disagreeing with Drama and D lately, still a big Kathy fan. Kamala Harris for president. Shout out to my wife, Ricky Lopez, for always being down to listen to group chat, even though she's had enough of my podcast. Shout out to all the content creators. From Argel, I would like to give a huge shout out again to my wife, Chrissy, and congratulations on becoming the food and beverage manager at your new workplace. I'm so proud of you. I love you. Congrats, Chrissy. From Greg, shout out to my boy Anand for being a closeted Trump supporter. That's amazing.
It's the opposite.
From chat, shout out to my boys Jacob, Harry, and Joe, who say they don't listen because D and Drum are too MAGA. But every time I bring up a news story from the pod, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
It's good.
Good. Great shout outs. Don't worry, election's over in 45 days, and then we'll go back to talking shit about something else. All right, Cathys, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there.